Philip Rivers just retired with more passing yards than Dan Marino, more touchdown passes than John Elway, more completions than Joe Montana, a higher career passer rating than Brett Favre, 8 Pro Bowl selections, 7 playoff appearances, and yet he never made a Super Bowl, never won an MVP award, and he's rarely mentioned in the same breath as the quarterbacks of his era: Brady, Manning, Breeze, Rodgers, and Roethlisberger. Heck, analysts believe Justin Herbert is the better Chargers quarterback than Rivers. What the hell happened with Philip Rivers? More importantly, how good was he actually? Let's rewind to where this all started: the 2004 NFL Draft. The San Diego Chargers held the first overall pick, and they selected Eli Manning despite Manning's very public declaration that he would not play for the franchise. The Chargers then orchestrated a trade with the New York Giants, sending Manning east in exchange for Rivers, selected 4th overall, and additional draft picks that would later become linebacker Shawnee Merriman and kicker Nate Kading. It was a franchise-altering move that would be debated for the next 2 decades. Manning went on to win 2 Super Bowls with the Giants, both against the seemingly invincible Patriots. Rivers became the face of the Chargers franchise, putting up prolific numbers, but never reaching the ultimate stage. The question lingered: did the Chargers make the right choice? Rivers didn't start immediately. He spent his first 2 seasons backing up Drew Brees, throwing just 30 passes total. When Brees suffered a shoulder injury and subsequently signed with the Saints, Rivers finally got his chance in 2006. He didn't waste it, throwing for 3,388 yards and 22 touchdowns while leading the Chargers to a 14-2 record. The future looked blindingly bright, but that season ended with a gut-wrenching playoff loss to the Patriots. With Rivers playing through a torn ACL, it would become a familiar pattern: regular season success followed by postseason heartbreak, often against New England. The 2007 AFC Championship game loss, where Rivers again played through injury. The 2008 divisional round defeat, where the Chargers managed just 15 points despite Rivers throwing for 211 yards and no interceptions. The 2009 upset loss to the Jets, where Rivers threw 2 costly interceptions. The playoff disappointments overshadowed what was becoming one of the most statistically impressive careers in NFL history. From 2008 to 2010, Rivers led the NFL in yards per attempt for 3 consecutive seasons. In 2008, he led the league in passer rating, 105.5, and touchdown percentage, 6.9%. In 2009, he threw for 4,254 yards with 28 touchdowns and just 9 interceptions. In 2010, he led the NFL with 4,710 passing yards. These weren't just good numbers. They were elite numbers that placed Rivers firmly among the best quarterbacks of his generation. And yet, the lack of postseason success created a perception that something was missing, that Rivers couldn't win the big one, that he wasn't quite on the level of Brady, Manning, and the other quarterbacks who were collecting rings. The middle part of Rivers' career brought more statistical excellence, but fewer team successes. The Chargers missed the playoffs from 2011 to 2013, despite Rivers throwing for over 4,000 yards each season. The offensive line deteriorated, leading to Rivers taking more sacks and forcing more throws. His interception totals increased, and the narrative shifted from Rivers can't win the big one to Rivers might be past his prime. Then came a career renaissance under head coach Mike McCoy and offensive coordinator Ken Whisenhunt. In 2013, Rivers completed a career-high 69.5% of his passes and returned to the Pro Bowl. The Chargers made the playoffs as a wild-card team and even won a road playoff game against the Bengals before falling to the Broncos in the divisional round. The final phase of Rivers' career was marked by relocation and transition. The Chargers moved from San Diego to Los Angeles in 2017, losing their identity and home field advantage in the process. Rivers continued to put up impressive numbers. He threw for 4,308 yards and 32 touchdowns in 2018, leading the Chargers to a 12-4 record and a playoff win over the Ravens. But a blowout loss to the Patriots in the divisional round reinforced the old narratives. After a disappointing 2019 season, Rivers and the Chargers parted ways. He signed with the Indianapolis Colts for what would be his final NFL season, throwing for 4,169 yards and 24 touchdowns while leading the Colts to an 11-5 record. Once again, the season ended with playoff disappointment, a 27-24 loss to the Bills, in which Rivers threw for 309 yards and 2 touchdowns, but couldn't complete the comeback. And then, just like that, it was over. Rivers retired after 17 seasons, 8 Pro Bowls, 63,440 passing yards, 5th all-time, 421 touchdown passes, 5th all-time, 5,277 completions, 5th all-time, and a career passer rating of 95.2, 12th all-time. He started 240 consecutive regular season games, the second longest streak for a quarterback in NFL history, behind only Brett Favre. The numbers are undeniably impressive, but numbers don't tell the whole story. So, how good was Philip Rivers actually? I've identified 5 factors that help answer this question, and the answer might surprise you. Factor number 1, the statistical excellence. Rivers' career numbers place him among the all-time greats, and this isn't just a case of longevity inflating his totals. His rate stats are equally impressive. His career completion percentage of 64.9% ranks 14th all-time. His touchdown percentage of 5.2% ranks 17th. His interception percentage of 2.6% ranks 29th. His yards per attempt of 7.8 ranks 14th. What's particularly remarkable is the consistency. Rivers threw for at least 4,000 yards in 12 of his 15 seasons as a starter. He threw at least 25 touchdown passes in 13 of those 15 seasons. He completed at least 60% of his passes in every season of his career. This wasn't a quarterback who had a few great years surrounded by mediocrity. This was sustained excellence over a decade and a half. The advanced metrics tell the same story. Rivers ranks among the league leaders in Football Outsiders DYAR, defense-adjusted yards above replacement, and DVOA, defense-adjusted value over average. Pro Football Focus graded him as among the top quarterback for majority of his career. By any objective measure, Rivers was one of the most productive and efficient quarterbacks in NFL history. Factor number 2, the supporting cast limitations. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Rivers rarely played with elite talent around him. Yes, he had LaDainian Tomlinson early in his career, and Antonio Gates, Vincent Jackson, and Keenan Allen throughout much of it. But the offensive line deteriorated after the early years, and the defense ranged from excellent to abysmal. Consider the offensive line. From 2010 to 2015, the Chargers ranked in the bottom half of the league in pass protection every single season, according to Football Outsiders. Rivers was sacked 254 times during his career, often while trying to extend plays or make something happen for a struggling offense. The receiving corps, while occasionally featuring standouts like Antonio Gates, Vincent Jackson, and Keenan Allen, was frequently depleted by injuries or lack of investment. Rivers made stars out of players like Malcolm Floyd, Denario Alexander, and Tyrell Williams. Solid professionals, but hardly elite talents. The defense was similarly inconsistent. The Chargers ranked in the top 10 in points allowed just 5 times during Rivers' 15 seasons as a starter. They ranked 20th or worse 6 times. This put enormous pressure on Rivers to score points, and often forced him into obvious passing situations where he had to take risks. Compare this to the supporting casts of his contemporaries. Brady had Belichick, a consistently excellent defense, and a rotating cast of effective receivers. Manning had Harrison, Wayne, and later Thomas and Decker. Breeze had Peyton, Thomas, and a series of innovative offensive schemes. Roethlisberger had multiple Hall of Fame receivers and a consistently strong organization. Rivers never had the same level of organizational stability or talent around him. Factor number 3, the playoff disappointments. This is the factor that most defines Rivers' legacy, fairly or unfairly. His career playoff record was 5-7, and he never reached a Super Bowl despite playing on several talented teams. This is the primary reason he's not mentioned in the same breath as Brady, 7 rings, Manning, 2 rings, Breeze, 1 ring, and Roethlisberger, 2 rings. But the playoff record requires context. In several of those losses, Rivers played solid but was let down by his team. In the 2008 divisional round against the Steelers, he threw for 308 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 35-24 loss, where the defense couldn't get stops. In the 2018 divisional round against the Patriots, he threw for 331 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 41-28 loss, where the defense was overwhelmed. Similar story in his lone season with the Colts. In the 2020 wildcard round against the Buffalo Bills, he threw for 309 yards and 2 touchdowns, but the defense had no answers against Josh Allen and the Bills' offense for most of the game. There were certainly playoff games where Rivers struggled. The 2007 loss to the Patriots, 2 interceptions, and the 2009 loss to the Jets, 2 interceptions come to mind. But his overall playoff numbers, 2,965 yards, 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 85.3 passer rating, are respectable. The 5-7 record is more a reflection of team performance than individual failure. Factor number 4, the intangibles. This is where Rivers truly shined, even if it didn't always translate to postseason success. His toughness was legendary. He played through a torn ACL in the 2007 AFC Championship game and never missed a start due to injury in his entire career. His competitiveness was unquestioned. The famous trash talking, always clean, never profane, and emotional outbursts on the field revealed a player who cared deeply about winning. His leadership was evident in how teammates responded to him. Gates once said, "Philip is the ultimate competitor. He wants to win every drill, every play, every game." That mentality is contagious. Melvin Gordon called him the best leader I've ever been around. Coaches consistently praised his preparation, football IQ, and ability to elevate those around him. These intangibles don't show up in the stat sheet, but they matter. They are why Rivers was able to sustain excellence for so long despite organizational changes, roster turnover, and the physical toll of playing quarterback in the NFL for 17 seasons. They're why he was respected by teammates, coaches, and opponents alike, even if the broader public never fully appreciated his greatness. Factor number 5, the era context. Rivers had the misfortune of playing in perhaps the greatest quarterback era in NFL history. Brady, Manning, Brees, Rodgers, Roethlisberger, all future Hall of Famers, all contemporaries of Rivers. In any other era, Rivers might have been the best or second best quarterback of his generation. In this era, he was often ranked 5th or 6th. This context matters when evaluating Rivers' career. His lack of Super Bowl appearances isn't just about his own performance. It's about having to go through Brady and Manning in the AFC playoffs year after year. His lack of MVP awards isn't just about his own statistics. It's about competing with historically great seasons from his contemporaries. Consider this. Rivers made the Pro Bowl 8 times, despite playing in the same conference as Brady, Manning, and Roethlisberger for most of his career. That's a testament to how consistently excellent he was, even in an era defined by quarterback excellence. So how good was Philip Rivers actually? The answer, based on these 5 factors, is clear. He was really good. Not just good, great. A legitimate Hall of Famer who belongs in the conversation with the best quarterbacks of his generation, even if he never reached the same heights in terms of team success. Statistically, he's one of the most productive and efficient quarterbacks in NFL history. Contextually, he achieved this excellence with less help and more obstacles than many of his contemporaries. Intangibly, he demonstrated the toughness, competitiveness, and leadership that define great quarterbacks. The lack of a Super Bowl appearance will always be the asterisk on Rivers' career, the "yeah, but" that follows any discussion of his greatness. And that's fair. Quarterback legacies are defined in large part by championships, and Rivers never reached the ultimate stage. But it's also incomplete. It ignores the team nature of football, the role of luck and circumstance, and the incredible difficulty of winning a championship in the NFL. If we're being honest, Rivers probably falls just short of the Brady, Manning, Brees, Rodgers tier of his generation. But he's comfortably in the next tier with Roethlisberger, Eli Manning, and Russell Wilson, quarterbacks who had more team success but weren't necessarily better individual players. And he's clearly ahead of the Romo Ryan Stafford tier of very good but not great quarterbacks of his era. In the broader historical context, Rivers probably ranks somewhere between 15th and 20th among all-time great quarterbacks. That's not the top tier, but it's still rarefied air, the top 20 out of the thousands of men who have played the position professionally. It's a career worthy of Canton, worthy of celebration, worthy of respect. Perhaps the most telling assessment of Rivers comes from his peers. Brady called him an incredible player and competitor. Manning praised his toughness and preparation. Brees, his former teammate, said Rivers had one of the best minds in the game. These are the quarterbacks who defined the era, who competed against Rivers year after year, who understood the challenges he faced and the excellence he achieved. Rivers may not have the rings of Brady, the MVPs of Manning, the statistical records of Brees, or the highlight reel plays of Rodgers, but he has something that's increasingly rare in today's NFL, a legacy of consistency, durability, and excellence that spanned nearly 2 decades. He played the game the right way, competed fiercely but fairly, and left an indelible mark on the franchise he represented and the league as a whole. So how good was Philip Rivers actually? He was better than you probably remember, better than his playoff record suggests, better than most quarterbacks who have ever played the game. He wasn't the GOAT, but he was a lot closer to that conversation than many give him credit for. And in an era defined by quarterback greatness, that's saying something. What do you think? Is Rivers a Hall of Famer? Where does he rank among the quarterbacks of his generation? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.